Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxy.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown, and I am your host, Mark Roxy, and I am delighted to be with you today. I am here with my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt, and we've got a great show for you today. Let's see what we can do here. So, there we go. There's my boy. What's up, Harold?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, and I'm delighted to be with you today, and thank you for tuning in. If you are tuning in on an Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or anywhere you get your podcast, thank you for being with us. Thank you for having us in your car or wherever you are listening to this amazing podcast. And if you are tuning in on YouTube, thank you for being with us. We got a wonderful show again. And don't forget, down below, before we get the show started, hit the like, subscribe, and notification button. It'll help us greatly. Thank you, Harold. That's right. Down there. Do it now so that you know when we go live. We usually will go live, and you'll have a couple of minutes to jump in and be a part of the podcast. And don't forget to leave your comments. We got a little comment section. So if you want to join the conversation, just jump on in the comments area and leave your comments. We'd love for you to be on the program with us here on the Boxing Breakdown. And today, on today's episode, we are going to break down a bunch of things. We're going to talk a little bit about Jaron Ennis versus Keith Thurman. Is that a good idea? Does that fight happen? Is it going to happen? Then we will also chop up Devin Haney versus George Kambosos. That fight is imminent, people. It's going to happen. So it's not really a question of if, it's more a question of when and what happens in the next fight. And then, of course, we have Michaela Meyer versus Alicia Baumgardner. And finally, we'll hit Triple G and Canelo. We'll talk a little bit about that, which I know Harold is very excited. Harold, talk to me, my brother. Let's get into the Jaron Ennis versus Keith Thurman fight. What you got?
Well, right now it's a rumor. It's a rumor from the bowels of the boxing.
Ooh, I love the
gods.
rumors.
We don't know if it's real, it's not real. It has to be substantiated. However, the rumor is that Ennis and Keith Thurman are rumored to fight. That would be a great fight to look forward to, just because Thurman is such a talker, and he is going to be looking to make the best of his opportunity. No. Thurman's only lost once, so we'll have to see how that goes on. But that's the rumor, Mark. Isn't that something?
Well, Harold, I mean, boxing is made up of a lot of rumors. We all know that, but man, Jaron Ennis is he's one of the most feared fighters in his division. And, what can I say? The orthodox 5'10" fighter with the 74-inch reach from Philadelphia is 29-0 with 27 big wins coming by way of KO. And he has fought some pretty good fighters in those last couple of fights, including Sergey Lipinets and Thomas Delorme, both very, very good seasoned fighters. So the guy is putting people away. He's sleeping. He slept 27 of his last 29 victims. And, I don't really know what would be the rationale for picking a guy or for having, a fight be made, Keith Thurman versus Jaron Ennis. But, the one thing about Keith Thurman is that he's a great fighter too, and the question really I have, now that he's on the other side of the coin, he's on the other side of the conversation. Keith Thurman used to be right up in the front of the conversation. Now he's kind of taking a back seat to a Jaron Ennis, if you will, and he's got a lot to prove, a lot to kind of live up to. I know that he's had some physical problems with his body. His body's breaking down a little bit, or has in the last couple of years. And what is left of Keith Thurman as he, if they do make this fight, what happens, Harold?
Well, we've been nice and we want to be honorable about the situation. Let's get down to it. Okay. He has an opportunity to either go out on his shield, or he has a chance to kind of test him and go the distance. If he's knocked out, he's through. Keith Thurman, that is. He has opportunity to really do something. Now, he's going to have to come off with some kind of strategy. He cannot get in closer with this guy. He can get knocked out. He can get beat up badly. The optics will be bad. There'll be a lot of punches thrown that will be on camera. There'll be pictures all over. Promoters were like, I'm not giving Keith Thurman a job anymore because he got beat up bad in that fight. He has so much on the line here, and he could easily lose this fight. That's the bottom line for him. So he has one last grasp of the big payday. He has a grasp of being relevant again. He's just on the very end of the whole situation. Now, Boots on the other end, he's hungry to get a big fish on his platter. And he's got one right here. He knows if he knocks this guy out, it's going to catapult him. So he's coming to knock him out. He's not even coming to really show any skills other than just the skill enough to knock him out. He has to stop him 10 count. Not no TKO, not no stop on cuts. He needs Thurman out 10 count. And he's going to be coming to do that. Now, he will sacrifice himself to get that because this is the biggest fight. He can't be cautious. He can't be too aware of the game plan, meaning that he won't get hit. He's got to get in there and get Keith Thurman out of there. That is what the bottom line is. It's not all this niceties, nice. This is his last chance. This is his last grasp, to do anything. And Ennis is hungry. And, when the kid is hungry, they do whatever they have to do. If you're hungry in the streets, you do what you have to do. You do whatever you have to do to get what you need to have for your life to go on. Ennis is in that situation. He needs his life. So he is absolutely 100% going to be all in. Thurman is grasping at his last straw. So the motivations between the two are doing different. But I see Thurman at the end of a situation where he can, end up elsewhere. Off camera, we talked about he doesn't want to be a gatekeeper. So he'll probably just retire if he loses. That's what I see, Mark.
Well, the one thing that you said that I don't really agree with, which is that Keith Thurman is, on his way out. I think what I was trying to say at the top of the program is that Keith Thurman has had some issues with his body. Yes, he's definitely the older fighter, right? He's 33 years old. I think Boots is I'm not sure how old.
24, 25, something like that.
But Keith Thurman is definitely the older fighter. Record-wise, on paper, it looks like a fantastic fight because, Keith Thurman is 29-1. He's got 22 big wins coming by way of KO. And as I said before, Jaron Ennis is 29-0 with 27 big wins coming by way of KO. Keith Thurman has definitely the more experience. If you were going to look at them on paper and, review them side by side, Keith Thurman has more experience in the ring on the big stage. That's all I'm saying. I don't mean more experience in general, because we know if you know anything about Boots Ennis, Boots is in the gym all the time. He spends a lot of time in the gym. He lives a certain lifestyle, if you understand what I mean. There's a certain lifestyle involved in what he's doing. You
I agree
agree?
with that. I agree with that. Yes. Being under the big lights is a different animal. I get that. I truly understand that. Ennis has not stepped on a stage like that where the run up is a month and the whole world is asking your opinion and interrupting your training camp, and just a whole thing would just be a huge circus for him. Whereas Thurman's been through it 3 or 4 times, so he understands that situation. However, I believe after the jitters are gone and
Right,
he settles down and he starts to see his advantage over Thurman, I think he'll be just the killer
right.
that he has always been. Thurman will have taken advantage of the deer in the headlights that Ennis may have early, maybe to pile up points and maybe to get through with a decision win.
Yeah.
But I don't see him taking Boots out. I see him land some good, clean punches that would take most people out. But the hungriness that Ennis has to have and will have to win this fight will just allow that not to
Right.
affect him at all.
Well, Harold, shame on you YouTube visitors, the ones that are watching on YouTube right now, because nobody put in the comments down below that Keith Thurman's record is actually 30-1, not 29-1. So pardon me, Mr. Thurman, for getting that incorrect. Your record is actually 30-1 with 22 wins by way of KO. Not what I cited earlier on in the program. I'm sure you're jumping out of your seat wanting to kill me here, but please don't kill me. Don't kill the guy. I'm just a messenger. And his last fight was in February 5th of 2022, where he faced off against Mario Barrios, and he won a unanimous decision against Mario Barrios. And of course, his infamous victory in July of 2019 against Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, where he got a loss, not a win, a loss, 12-round loss against Manny Pacquiao. That's his only loss on his record. So, I mean, look, this is going to be a good fight. It really depends on where the Clearwater, Floridian, how he comes to the fight. Because we don't know. We don't know how Keith Thurman is coming to the fight. We've seen Jaron Ennis more recently. I mean, Jaron Boots Ennis was in the ring in May of 2022. So we really just saw him a couple of months ago against Castillo Clayton, where he got basically a KO in the second round of that fight. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Boots. We know what he's doing. He's more relevant for sure. But don't sleep on Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman is he's a dog in the ring. We all know that. And it's going to be a really interesting fight. What do you think about the style matchup?
Well, we know that Boots is going to come forward smartly,
Right.
and he looks to attack at all times. He's looking for angles to attack at all times. That's just his mandate right now. That's the fighting style he has. Thurman's fighting style was like that, but it hasn't been like that. And if you look at his last fight, you saw that he's changed his style. I don't want to say deteriorated. I don't want to say anything negative, but it's not the style that we're used to seeing.
Right.
And he didn't exactly use that style. And he used that same style against Pacquiao also. So if he comes with that type of style against Boots, he'll be on the back foot, and he'll get his opportunities by countering. However, if he doesn't have the opportunity to counter because the offense that's coming at him doesn't allow him to counter, he could be in a little issue with Boots. So I don't see anything different from Boots' style, but I do see Thurman having to adjust himself, and has adjusted himself in the past 2 fights to be a different fighter. I would have to go Ennis on this just because of his aggressiveness and his youth. And he's never been down, he's never lost. And once you have a loss, it does change your mindset.
Man, who's shark food? That's what I want to know. Who's shark food? Which one of these guys is coming to the fight A side? Which one of these guys is coming? I mean, I look at Keith Thurman's record. He's got a stellar record. I mean, you just can't deny the opposition that he's faced. He's faced very, very good opposition. Pretty much the cream of the crop. He's got one loss on his record. And yeah, man, I mean, he's fought Sean Porter, he's fought Danny Garcia, he's fought Joselcito Lopez, Manny Pacman Pacquiao, Mario Barrios. I mean, he's had a lot of good fights in his recent Roberto Guerrero, Julio Diaz. I mean, he's Jesus Soto Courage. I don't know if you remember him, but great fight. Carlos Quintana.
He's done well. I mean, what he's done is well. But now he's in with a fighter who can drop you. Right. You named other fighters, which are excellent fighters. They're some of them are Hall of Fame, this, that, and the other. I'm not discounting them, but they're not drop you. I'm gonna drop you out fighters. Porter's not a drop you out. Those other gentlemen that he fought can't just turn you off. Well, Boots can turn you off.
No.
I don't turn you off.
Well, he could definitely turn me off, I'm sure. I mean, he could turn you off, turn me off, and turn most of the listeners off too. The thing is that's not the question. The question is, can he turn Keith Thurman off? And yes. I asked the question because in looking at his record, Harold, I do not see the level of opposition in these fights that he's had. I know he's a great fighter. I definitely concur with you, and most of the knowledgeable boxing community knows that Jaron Ennis is the real deal. That's not the question. The question really becomes, can he face a guy like Keith Thurman, right? 30-1 with 22 big wins by KO, seasoned professional who's faced pretty much the cream of the crop at the 147-pound weight division, right? The welterweight division in the most recent prime. Some of the best fighters, in the world came out of that division and came out of that era that we're talking about. And I just wonder if this is a question of, Keith Thurman seeing the opportunity as a shark, or is Boots the shark?
Mentally, of course, he has that advantage of fighting all these guys in their prime while he was in his prime. Yes, right. He's seen everything. He knows what's going to come, how it's going to come, this, that, and the other. However, to the physical attributes, can I take that? Can I keep moving around? Can I keep doing what I need to do? Yes. Yeah. Mentally, he's not going to be bothered at all. He's not going to be bothered at all. If he was in his prime, 25, 26 years old, like Boots was, and had the knowledge he has now, he would win. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
Yes, he understands everything that Boots could possibly do. Yes, the pressure, all that. He's been there, done that. But can he stand up to the physical pressure that he's going to get from a novice-type fighter in his eyes? Can he stand up to that? Because he looks at Boots as, hey, his skills are limited. I mean, I've seen all that. He's still in the realm where I can understand exactly what he's doing. He's not doing nothing serious. However, he still has to apply the power. He still has to get by that power. And that is the question. It's not mentally or nothing like that. Can his body hold up to get and use his mental attributes to win the fight? Right. I see it. If he does win, it's on points. He gets his points early. He knows how to get out of the way and neutralize that basic skill set that Ennis has in his mind, in Thurman's mind. Yeah. Ennis has a basic skill set. Obviously, otherwise he wouldn't have took the fight. So that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I know. I get it. And you know what? Harold, this is a lot of things for us to tune into and to see how this develops in the coming months. Let's see if this fight can happen. Because if it can happen, it would be great for boxing. It would be great for Jaron Ennis' career, and it would be great for, Keith Thurman's career too, for both of them. And who comes out on top will be very, very interesting, I mean, that's all I have to say about it. Yeah, man. And then, so Harold, let's switch gears and let's jump over to the heavyweight division. Let's talk about the Gypsy King, right? Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. What's going on with this fight?
Okay, let's go with the numbers. I love the numbers. Okay, Tyson wants half a $1 billion. He wants 500. So they've already signed in kind 60-40 split, where Tyson will get the 60, of course, and Josh would get the 40. They would have a rematch, and the winner would get 60 again, and the loser would get 40. If there's a third fight, that has yet to be negotiated, but there will be a comeback fight. Either way it goes, they're going to do it twice. So since the monies are agreed upon, and Joshua was willing to get these two fights behind him of a style that just wasn't conducive to him winning, he's ready to get that behind him. Fury doesn't care about who has the belts, who doesn't have the belts. He can at least bring a WBC belt to the broadcast, to the optics, as a title fight, which is great. So he'll defend the WBC. Joshua has a chance to actually pick up the WBC if he wins, and then he can go back to Usyk, providing Usyk has not been beaten by someone else. So
interesting.
This is going to be a good fight just because the world wants to see it. They don't care about the belts. Fury's got the cachet to bring the world in, and Joshua does too. This fight is not about belts.
Right. No. I agree with you. I mean, everyone loves to see a good heavyweight scrap. There isn't anyone that doesn't love to see a good heavyweight scrap, Harold Hunt. But I will say, like, this fight is kind of clearly a mismatch from records. I mean, if you were just going to look at it on paper, certainly, you look at Tyson Fury, he's 32-0. He's got one draw. He's got 23 big wins by way of KO. He's got almost a 70% KO ratio. And then you jump over to Anthony Joshua. Joshua's, 24-3. And he's been KO'd one time. 22 of his victories have come by way of KO. So, I mean, he's got the better KO ratio. He's got an 48 KO ratio. So he's got a pretty good KO ratio. He's 32 years old. I think he's maybe younger than Tyson Fury. In terms of height, Tyson Fury, towers him by 5 inches, almost 5 inches. So I think Anthony Joshua is 6'5" or 6'6", and Tyson Fury is 6'9". So Tyson Fury's got an 85-inch arm reach, man. 85. Take out a tape measure and measure. People, folks, listen, if you're tuning in, take out a tape measure and put it on your arm and measure 85 inches. Look at, you will not believe how long this guy's arms are. And Anthony Joshua's got long arms too, man. His arms are 82 inches. They're still shorter than Tyson Fury. But, these guys are big. These are big men. Big men. I think that, I don't know what let me see. I want to see what Tyson Fury, when Tyson Fury fought last, what did he weigh in at? I don't know what he weighed in at. Do you?
It was 260 something, and he was very comfortable with that weight. He's always been light on his feet. So he'll be moving around with Fury. With Joshua. But Joshua does well with bigger guys. Right. He beat Klitschko. He beat some of the guys who are taller than he is, that had longer reach, and it's more conducive to his style. So we're going to see a decent fight. It may be a mismatch on paper. However, I think in the ring, it'll be a different thing, and they both are going to bring the public out.
Yeah, well, I definitely think they're both from the United Kingdom. I think they're both with Eddie Hearn, right? Both with Eddie Hearn, right?
Thus the 60-40 split and the agreement to do the fight.
So check this out. They're both with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is going to clean up. He has no other promoter or no other, they're all his guys. This is a huge fight. I'm sure it'll happen somewhere in the United Kingdom. And
they already have a tentative date.
And is it in the United Kingdom or is it somewhere else? And what is the tentative date now?
United Kingdom.
It is. Okay. Yeah, they're going to make it over there, of course. what do you think they'll do? What do you think they'll do in the box office? How many people do you think they will pack in? Because either one of them separately can do about 80,000 fans.
Well, the stadium, I think the stadium is 80. I think the stadium's 80. I need research on that, but we're looking at 80 plus humans.
Right, you're talking about
Wembley Stadium?
Yeah.
Okay, which will be, to capacity, of course. That's just butts in the seats. That's just more optics. The main thing is the pay-per-view and the transmissions of the fight around the world.
Wow.
So that's where the bulk of it comes in. So as far as people being there, capacity. Whatever that is at Wembley, it will be a capacity.
Well, and Harold, with this fight, I know we said we were going to chop this up for the Boxing Breakdown listeners. And yes, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, we could talk all day about each one of their fights, their last 4 fights. I mean, Joshua has come off a split decision loss against Alexander Usyk. And prior to that, he also got a unanimous decision loss to Alexander Usyk. So he's had 2 losses simultaneously back-to-back. His only other loss was against Andy Ruiz back in June of 2019, I believe it was, when he faced Andy Ruiz, and Andy Ruiz jumped on the scene. That was in Madison Square Garden in New York. It was a huge event, and it was a major upset. And after that fight with Andy Ruiz, he fought him again. He got a unanimous decision win. Then he fought Kubrat Pulev, and he beat him in the 9th round of a 12-round, title fight for the IBF, IBO, WBA, and WBO belts. And then he came up against Alexander Usyk. He lost, and then he lost again to a split decision loss most recently. And now there's talks of him coming back. I don't see it anywhere written that it's definitely going to happen. Did you see it's definitely going to happen?
Well, thusly, yes, it's to happen.
Tell me.
Joshua went ahead and accepted the terms, a 60-40 split.
Okay.
The date has been announced. It's kind of not up in the air. They have one date, but Eddie Hearn has 2 dates at 2 different stadiums in that area. Okay. So the actual date, they don't know exactly which one he will put them on, but he has 2 reserved. Okay. And they're looking at another date. So we have to just wait and see which one they choose, but the fight will be made. So that is going to happen. There's no reason for that not to happen.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's all kinds of rumors going around about this fight. I mean, there's one thing that came across the wire that says Fury versus Joshua is off due to lack of response.
That is a good case.
That's a scuttle. I mean, is that real? Is that not real? I don't know. I don't know if it's what they're talking about.
Just like the rumor we had with our prior conversation on the other 2 fighters, we don't know exactly the swell of that. I've seen the article about the 60-40 split, the 3 days that were available, the availability of Joshua to do it. Tyson, he wants to do it. He wants $500 million. All of that has been written and documented thus far. So this is a new a movement or swell saying that the public is not interested in that fight. I'm interested in that fight. I want to see the fight. I don't care about the belts. I want to see the fight. So I'm not subscribing to the lack of interest. And I'm sure that people in the UK would pack out that arena.
Yeah. Well,
regardless of what the pundits say.
I mean, here you go. You can look at your screen and you can see everyone. Folks, if you're watching on YouTube, check it out. If you're listening on podcast, you can't see, so I'll try to describe what we're looking at. But there's 3 top articles right at the top of the news feed, and the first one is Fury versus Joshua off due to lack of response. Team Usyk reacts, and that was 3 days ago. 7 hours ago, there was another one that says Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Talks are currently on hold until next week. So you got that happening, right? So I'm not really sure, Harold. I'm not really sure what to believe here, but clearly there's some movement here. We hope that they make the fight. I certainly hope for Joshua's sake they make this fight because he needs this fight. You know, he needs it for financially, I'm sure. Couldn't hurt, but he also needs it, you know, just for his career. So let's see, you know, he's jumping around from trainer to trainer, Harold. I'm not sure how I feel about, well, I do know how I feel about the inconsistency of trainers. What are your thoughts about that?
He just wants to go back to the style that made him. He was forced by the public, by his losses, to go try to change the style, bring in the proper trainer.
Yeah.
The optics and the narrative had to be that he's trying to be a better fighter, change the style, bumped all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to what you've done, how you've been successful. Have somebody who's going to help you work with that. He
Yeah.
has an opponent where he can use his style against properly. So I would get rid of all the boxing and this and that and just go back to what I've done. And he's been successful at it, obviously, you know, many times. And he tends to take out the big guys. You know, they're big, some of them are big, but he takes them out. So he has the opportunity to go back to what he knows how to do very well.
Right. Yeah, no. I definitely agree with you, Harold. I think you're spot on about that. You know, let's see what happens in the coming week. I know this week is going to be really interesting as far as the developments for that fight and for a whole host of other things that are on the board. There's a lot of things that we're talking about. There's a lot of things on the board. This week is going to be a big week for boxing news as we enter into the fall months, into the fall, winter holiday season. There's going to be a lot of really good stuff happening in boxing for sure. So, Harold, let's switch gears here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's switch over to the females. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, there's actually, let's jump over to the females. I know I'm going to move it around just a little bit. Let's move it around a little bit. Let's just hit this Michaela Meyer and Alicia Baumgardner news.
Okay.
Along with the Clarissa Shields and I think she's supposed to fight Savannah Marshall.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you know about that?
Well, as we know, Queen Elizabeth, rest in peace, passed, and due to the mourning in the country, you know, all sporting events have been canceled for that particular day.
Yeah.
So therefore, this fight that was scheduled to fight, these fights, Shields and Marshall and Malika Mayer and Alicia Baumgardner, and I believe it was two other fights, TV fights we were to see, have been canceled. We of course we will respect the situation in that country. Rest in peace. Now, for them, it's going to be kind of tough because they've peaked. They're at their height of nastiness, if you will. They're down to a point where they're not comfortable and they want to take it out. They want to fight. And with this postponement, it just changes their mindset, changes their body clock to get into the ring. And that can be an issue. Now, we know that it has problems for men from time to time just because of, you know, the muscle mass and the different makeup of the male species, the body, the ratio of fat of muscle or whatever. Women are different. I don't know what it is or what it's not, what it isn't, but I know that they're affected in some way.
Yeah. Wow. This is interesting because she was scheduled to fight Michaela Meyer. The Queen of England has passed. They've postponed the fight. When is the new date?
Well, they're looking at the same day, unfortunately, that Deontay Wilder is fighting. The same day, Devin Haney and George Kambosos, they're fighting. So you're going to have 3 fights on that same day. Now, then you have to add an exhibition fight, which is Floyd.
Right.
Floyd's doing an exhibition on the same day. So the purists may not watch the Floyd work, you know, because he's bringing in so many different people.
Yeah.
The purists have a choice between Deontay and Haney.
Right.
I had a choice. I'm watching Deontay because Haney's going to do the same thing to Kambosos and win. So if the undercard is intriguing, maybe so, but it doesn't interest me. Yes, I always want to see Deontay because he either going to take you out or get taken out, you know, because he's going to stand in there. So that's great. Floyd, I don't see it. Now, if these guys come back, they're competing for the same dollars, the same pay-per-view dollars. And the main thing for the women to have their own entity that commands that dollar from the boxing public. And if they've got to spread it out over those 3 or 4 items,
Yeah.
I believe they'll be on the negative side of that.
Right. Well, this fight, man, I was so excited to watch the fight, Harold, because I've been following both Michaela Meyer and Alicia Baumgardner. I do enjoy the women, the women competing, enjoy the work, the way that, as a trainer, the way the women process boxing and the way that they learn is pretty impeccable. So anybody, has had the pleasure of training female athletes understand that their mindsets are completely different and they have a different aptitude for detail. And both of these women demonstrate the aptitude that they have for the sport and for combat. And they are exceptional competitors, both of them. I've seen them both in the ring and they're both pretty amazing. So this was set to be an amazing scrap between Michaela Meyer and Alicia Baumgardner. I'm really interested to see how the 17-0 with 5 KO Meyer is able to, handle herself against a 12-1 with 7 KOs, Alicia Baumgardner. Baumgardner comes out of Fremont, Ohio, and Michaela Meyer, I believe she's from California, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not 100% sure where her. She is from California. She's from Woodland Hills, California. Sorry about that, Michaela Meyer. But yeah, so this is going to be a really, really great fight. And if you are interested in watching the best of boxing, you need to tune into this fight. Now, if you look at their records, they don't have 30-0, 28-0, like Devin Haney, who we're going to speak about in a moment. He's got a record of 28-0 with 15 KOs. Yeah, okay. Michaela Meyer has 17-0, right, with only 5 KOs, and Alicia Baumgardner has 12-1 with 7 KOs. Both of these girls can fight. They're not big knockout artists, but they definitely know how to win. They're both major competitors, and that's what was so interesting for me about this fight is that, I was thinking, this is going to be a fight to the end. These guys are going to fight all the way to the last, to the 12th round. This is not going to be, early fight or something like that. It's just not. It's going to be, maybe it is. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but my assumption is that this fight is going to be, knockdown, drag out, kick out fight. They're going to be and it's going to be amazing boxing demonstrated in this fight. So remember I said that, don't sleep, people. Tune into the fight whenever it happens, because that is going to be for purists, you will love that fight. What do you think?
Yes, and the 2 rounds, the ladies only fight 2 minutes per round, rather.
Yep.
That is exciting because they're constantly getting after it from the first minute to the last second, because there's no strategy. There is strategy within the 2 minutes, but a 3-minute strategy allows you to kind of move differently as the rounds progress. The 2-minute rounds, you got to get after it. So you're going to see some good action.
Yeah, for sure. And, you got the last 3 fights that Michaela Meyer has had have been against back in June of 2021, Erica Annabella Farasas, and then Maliva Hamdouche, and then Jennifer Hahn, most recently in April of 2022. She just fought Jennifer Hahn. And of course, she won a unanimous decision. All of those wins that I mentioned were unanimous decision wins. So when
she's fun to watch.
She's fun to watch. Yeah, she's fun to watch, and she stretches the fights all the way. They go in 10 rounds. All her fights, the last fight that she had that went 6 of 12, okay, was against Alexandra Soledad Zamora, and that was way back in October of 2019. All her fights after that were all 10-round fights. They all went 10 rounds. Okay? So now on the Baumgartner side, about the last four fights that Baumgartner has had, she hasn't been that active. She fought against Christina Pacheco in December 2019. I actually had a fighter on that card, and so we shared a dressing room actually. So I'm very familiar with her work, and I watched the fight against Pacheco, and she stopped her in the first round, I believe. And then she fought Vanessa Bradford. That was an 8-round fight. She got a unanimous decision win. And then she fought Terry Harper. That was a pretty interesting fight. She got a KO in the 4th round. And then her last fight was against Edith Soledad Matisse, and she got a unanimous decision victory, 10 of 10. So, clearly she has a devastating right hand. If you've seen her fight, if you've seen Baumgartner fight, everybody talks about her right hand, but she's got other weapons. She definitely has other weapons. She's got some body work. I think when she fought Pacheco, Christina Pacheco, she stopped her with a body shot. So, it's not, she definitely is not the typical female fighter facing, an former Olympian and Michaela Meyer. This is a real fight, people. This is going to be a very, very good fight. So tune in. Don't miss it. And that's all we really have to say. I mean, as far as Clarissa Shields, she was on the card. She was scheduled to fight
Savannah Marshall.
That's right. I'm sorry. Savannah Marshall. And that fight is also postponed. So let's stay tuned and see what happens, because we definitely need to see, these 4 women in the ring. They're all amazing fighters, and, women's boxing is really hot right now. And there's a lot of young up-and-coming female fighters that are waiting to, step into those shoes and grab some belts. So this is a unification fight too, isn't it? So, when the Michaela Meyer, Alicia Baumgartner fight does happen, that's going to be a unification. So somebody's going to walk away with all the belts.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. Okay, so let's jump on over. Actually, let's jump back. Let's jump back. Way back. Well, not way back, but a little back. Let's go back into the Devin Haney versus George Kambosos fight, which is not speculative. It's actually happening. Tell us, Harold.
Well, as you know, the initial fight carried a rematch clause. So that rematch will happen. They're going to go back over there. They're going to do the exact same thing. It's going to be in a smaller arena. The optics have changed because he lost, but because of the comeback fight, they've moved it. I don't know what particulars are the money are concerned, but if you look in the ring and see what they could possibly do with each other, I don't see George doing anything different to get a win at all. And Devin has already seen what he needs to do to be successful. He's going to do that, and he's going to press the issue to see if he can get